How do I start this thing?
Have you plugged the bloody USB in?
Yeah, it's in.
Nah, man, that's the wrong port. Oh, wait, it's flashing now.
It's recording.
Well, let's start this thing, fool!
Hello, everyone. I'm Amelia.
Hi, I'm Sam. Welcome to Ask the Duo podcast, a podcast where we get deep into those late-night, unfiltered conversations.
We'll be discussing all things lifestyle, relationship, mindset, and more.
Alright, let's get to it!
Ooh, what you got there?
I've got a flat white.
Self-made, eh?
Self-made, baby.
What a barista.
You know it, mate.
Well, check out my drink.
Well, your drink looks like poo juice.
No, it doesn't. So I saw this YouTube where they actually got you to try, it's essentially a long black, but instead of using water, you use soda water with a dash of lemon. And I was like, that looks kind of gross, but I'm going to try it anyway. And surprisingly, it's amazing. So if anyone likes long blacks, give it a go. Anyway, so today our topic is it okay to work with your significant other? So something that we've heard a lot of people saying that either you shouldn't work with your significant other or it's not a good idea to work at the same place as your partner. So I want to see if you agree or disagree with this.
Yeah, I don't agree.
Yeah, so you say it's okay to work with
Yeah, I think it's fine to work with your partner.
Yeah, me too. I think it's fine. Like, for me, I've never had that thought in my head that I shouldn't work with a significant other. So I disagree. Let's talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages that you can see, like just as a general point of view in terms of working with a partner. Like, what are some advantages?
Well, I guess if you're working in the same industry, you're basically working in the same environment. That can be considered as a pro. You could also consider if you guys have common goals towards the same industry, G each other up to achieve the same thing.
Yeah, so working in the same environment, I think it helps you relate to each other because if obviously after work, like we're not saying that you need to talk about work, but if it comes up, you can understand where they're coming from or if they had any struggles or they had some goals, you'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Or like, yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, you guys can talk about it and discuss.
Because if you talk to your friends or someone who's in a totally different industry, sometimes it's quite hard for them to understand where you're coming from and you can only talk in basic layman terms to them. So I think it's good that you can work together. It's a good thing where you can relate to each other.
Yeah, to a common goal. It's good achievement. Yeah.
And another advantage, I think, is on top of that, you can share tips for success or, share advices to each other. And on top of that, you can also help motivate and inspire each other, especially if they're reaching a goal. Like, say they want to get to a managerial position or a team leader or whatever it is, and they're working hard, which makes you want to, one, support them, but also work hard for yourself too.
Yeah, and I think it's good if you guys can basically provide each other the feedback as well. So if one partner isn't as confident or as, knowledgeable in a certain area, you guys can really work with each other to boost each other up. And I think that's a really good advantage, to be honest. If you're working,
share knowledge.
Yeah.
Like, for example, you're really good at, talking to people and have that confidence and just doing what you do. Whereas I'm like, I know how to just nail process and get that stuff done as efficient as I can. But in terms of, maybe relaying an issue to someone straightforward, I don't know how to do that. So you can share that with me and I can share with you how to, work through a process faster. Like, that's a good example.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another advantage I would say is, you meet people at work so you can share the same friends, like same colleagues.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you guys meet multiple colleagues or even have a group at work that you guys can basically hang out with and relate to, I think that's pretty cool. If you can share it, if you're open to it, it's definitely an advantage in that front.
Yeah. Work's definitely a great place to make friends as well. But obviously there's always some disadvantage to working together what are some disadvantages you would say there are?
I mean, I guess you're spending a lot of time together, and it might not be considered as quality time as a relationship front.
Yeah, like the quote-unquote quality time where you're going out eating at a really good restaurant or watching your favorite movie or something like that. You're still spending time together, but in a different way.
Yeah, work is work and life is life. Your personal life is, separate.
And it might kind of get a bit muddled, like in between the two, like separate. I mean, your personal and your work, and then the time together is just...
You get sick of each other at that point,
Well, I don't know about getting sick of each other, but you're definitely spending so much time together.
You need that space.
Yeah, so that's one disadvantage. I think definitely from a business or the employee's point of view, like they don't know what you are like in a relationship, and obviously they would think, it could be a distraction because all you want to do is be with each other, or, you lack focus in your job because, you guys are together. So I can see that side of things.
Could be an issue with how your work judgment is affected by the emotions between you two. So, it's, I guess, for the employee, it's hard to sort of gauge whether or not you're capable of separating the two.
Mm.
And obviously they want you to perform well. So the less distractions, the better, the positive it would be.
Mm. Yeah. And then I think another disadvantage, this really depends on the person. Sometimes you might take things a bit too personal. Like it can be hard to not to, but say for example your partner might have the authority to say yes or no to something and they didn't approve your work or they couldn't sign off on your work, you may take it personal and it may lead to other things. Like we're not saying that every couple is like that, but it could happen.
Yeah, it definitely could.
So that's maybe another potential disadvantage I can see.
Yep.
Another one that we can probably see is maybe your partner is venting relationship problems to colleagues. Like obviously everyone wants to be able to share some of their problems just to get things off their shoulders, and if they're really close to a colleague, which is also a mutual friend, they might vent to them or, relay some of the issues and problems to them, and then you hear it from that same mutual friend and you're like, oh.
Yeah, you're going to get pissed off from it because you're hearing it from a third party.
Oh, I don't know about pissed off, just disappointed.
Well, annoyed. A combination of things. I mean, depends on what you've spoken to the colleague about. So.
Yeah. And another thing, I think it could be you run out of things to talk about because you spend essentially 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, talking about or just being in work. So that's the main thing that's always in your head, and you might end up talking about work all the time, which is obviously not ideal.
Yeah, it's not good.
But just to give you guys a little rundown, we actually used to work together.
Yeah, so, we actually worked together in the past. And, from my point of view, I actually enjoyed it. I didn't have any problems with it.
I enjoyed it too. And like I said, I actually never knew that this was like a big no-no or something that people were saying it's not ideal to work with your partner. So I actually worked at this banking finance paralegal law firm. And I was there as an admin for a bit. Then I moved to being a paralegal, and being there for a little while, they wanted to expand, and then also knowing that you wanted to get away from what you were doing and just progress from where you were, your current position. So the new position was kind of ideal. Right. So you wanted to grow from that position, and the position that they were hiring at my place was kind of ideal or suitable to what you were looking for. So I recommended you. And at that time, our manager was like, did you know that it's actually not ideal? Like, she didn't ask it like this. I can't remember. It was so long ago. But I was like, are you sure you want to work with your partner? And I was like, why? I was like, I don't see why not. Like, he's got all the qualifications. He's a really good person. He knows what he's doing. And he's I believe that he's capable in doing it. And then she's like, oh yeah, that's cool. And she's a really, really good manager as well. Like, she was really nice. And I think she was just definitely trying to look out for us. So I really appreciate her for doing that. But yeah, that was essentially how you ended up working with me.
Yeah, so I mean, at the time, like Amelia said, it was an opportunity for me to grow, to take on quite a fair bit. So, I mean, I do remember and I do recall having the interview with our manager at the time, and she basically said the same thing. Hey, you guys capable of working together? And look, I didn't see it from my point of view. I didn't think of it like that, because work is work and personal life is personal life, and I'm able and I know that I'm capable of separating the two. So it didn't have any effect to me, and I didn't really see it as an issue at that time. Yeah. So obviously going into the job, it was kind of like, well, yeah, I already know what I'm expected to do. Mm-hmm. Too easy. I know what I need to basically, I know my responsibilities.
And I think that was definitely to our advantage, because we're both people who just know our tasks, know what we need to do, and we're going into work just to do that. We are not there to, build a relationship or whatever it was. It definitely helped. I think it was really good. But our initial intentions are, you wanted to go there to progress, and I was in there working, doing what I'm doing, and that was our sole focus.
Yeah, I think the other advantage there was we also knew someone else we knew a few people that worked there too. So the recommendation was quite easy to sort of jump into that.
And I think it was good because we ended up working with a whole bunch of friends, and it was just really fun.
Yeah, eventually I had the power to basically hire who I wanted. So, I mean, we had a lot of friends in the same industry, so we basically made it a law firm with friends, which was so good.
Working in a law firm is definitely stressful. It's high demand.
Yeah, fast paced.
I think that is what built me up. This would be a totally different conversation, but I used to be really shy, quiet, would not ever speak my thoughts. And this is the first place that built me up to become more open and more straightforward, and is it called cutthroat, I guess?
Yeah, and for the guys that are listening who know what conveyancing and I guess finance and law, it's pretty cutthroat, especially when you got to deal with multiple parties, with the outgoing banks, with the brokers, all that sort of stuff. So it can get pretty intense.
Yeah, so being able to work with friends, and especially having a really great and supportive partner who can understand that, I feel like that was definitely a good thing, and it helped us, everyone, not even just us two, but just friends, all grow closer together. And then in the end, the things that made up the shit day, you can laugh about it together because you're like, oh, this happened, then you can just joke about it. But yeah, when there were times that maybe you got sick of me, or I annoyed you, or we had an argument the day before or something like that, how did we come about that? How did we work around that?
Like I said at the start, we kind of had an understanding of how to keep that separate. I think if we argued the day before or at nighttime or whatever it was,
which wasn't really often, we don't have arguments all that.
I mean, we're not not saying that we're perfect, but we had disagreements and stuff like that, but it never. We had a mutual agreement and understanding that at work it would never affect our capabilities to actually do the work and to communicate.
And the weird thing was we actually never voiced that. We just somehow
naturally
telepathically understood that.
Yeah.
And I think because we weren't early on in the relationship, we were maybe 4 or 5 years in already. So I think we already built up a lot of that communication and understanding already. So that definitely helped. So I think the stages of your relationship can differ to this answer, like how you answer this question as well, because if you've only just started dating, that may be different.
Yeah, it's unknown or uncharted territory for you at the time.
Yeah, but we always made sure if there was a problem, even if it's not for work, if there's an issue, we would Like, if we need to give each other space, we'll give each other, some time to think about what just happened, but we would make sure we always talk about it straight after and, understand and see where we can come to an agreement or a middle ground. And it never dragged on, I'm not going to talk to you for a week or something like that. It was always like, okay, what's wrong? How can we solve this? And we just work through it.
Yeah, and that obviously leads to the next component here is, leaving our issues at home. And you need that separation. You need to have that, okay, as soon as I walk through the work doors, this is work life. And as soon as I walk out of these doors, okay, now it's personal life.
Yeah.
And I think you need to be able to differentiate the differences between the two because, work, you've got your own tasks, you have responsibilities, you know what you need to get the job done. As long as there's no personal emotions affecting your work choices or, performance, that's the main thing.
And I think also you got to think of it this way. It's not that you're working with your partner. You are both going to a job and this company who hired you to work there, you're working for them. So you have to abide by their rules, their regulations, their policies. And, your partner has to do the same thing. Like, they can't cut the line and, say, okay, I'm going to sign off your work because I know you kind of thing. Like, they have things that they got to follow. So you got to think about external factors, not just things between, you and your partner.
Yeah. And I think that the biggest thing that we realized that it worked for us was when our manager basically said, you guys worked bloody fucking good together.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how you guys communicate so well.
Yeah. And we just got things done.
Yeah.
Like, the process line was just so efficient. Like, I would be checking off, like, documents and stuff, and then I'll pass for you. And were you, like, just approving some things or checking, making sure?
Yeah, I just check all I quality control everything that everyone would do.
So I'll do what I need to do and I'll pass it to him. And then there's always like 10 billion files in the line. I'm not going to just put my file on top and be like, hey, can you sign this? Or something.
And I think how that has an effect is, if we had emotions affecting our work, say, for an example, if I were to check Amelia's files and it was all incorrect, and I totally disregarded that, we actually need to register those documents. So we would have been fined, or what they call is they charge you a requisition. So, and that costs a lot of money. So, you've got to be responsible.
Yeah, but and it also comes down, like, you were really good in terms of telling me, like, hey, this one's not, witnessed, or hey, this one's not checked properly, can you have a look again, or can you go back to this person and make sure that they provide this? Like, it wasn't like, oh, you've done this all wrong, can you do it all over again? And
I think the main component there was the choice of words I used, probably. And I think, given my character too, I like to fuck around.
You're very straightforward.
I'm straightforward, but I like to fuck around. So, like, I try to make work enjoyable because it's like, well, hey, you fucked it up, but it's not you that directly fucked it up. It's like, hey, this document's fucked, man. Like, we got to get this sorted. And I'll tell her, hey, this is why we need to go to this person. Yeah. And it's not you. It's just, it was just done incorrectly from the start.
And in a relationship or not, I think as a person working in a job, you need to be like a team player, and you need to be able to voice and give constructive criticism, or, whatever it is, like feedback. You need to be able to give that properly, where they know what they need to do or where to look out for. You can't just be like, hey, this is not good, and then you just leave it as that.
Yeah, it's the transparency and the communication too, but then also giving the feedback to know what you need to rectify, rather than just saying, hey, it's wrong, and then passing it back. It's about actually communicating it and using the right words to display that. So
and obviously this is our experience. We understand that it's different for everyone.
100%.
Like we did mention before, maybe different stages of your relationship might affect whether or not you want to work with your partner, and also character, personality. There's heaps of different influencing factors
to help, I guess, judge whether you're capable or not. So that all comes down to I guess your personal relationship.
Yeah, and it also stems down into understanding yourself and how you would like to work or how you like things to go in a workplace. And if you feel like, you don't feel like it may work if you work with your significant other, if you were to work together, you can just voice that, like simply say, I don't know if it's the best thing, and, just talk to them about it. Or if you think it's going to be awesome, then be like, hey, I think we'll work great together. Let's do this together.
Yeah.
It's all about, communication, keeping it clear. And yeah. Another question from this, because I think we have built a really strong and healthy relationship, or we just had a strong and healthy relationship. For the listeners, how do you think that we kept it healthy and strong?
Well, I know we mentioned before, but keeping that separation is really important. Like, work is work, personal life is personal life. So obviously allocating time, organize the right time, and time manage when is a good time to basically say, okay, let's catch up. Let's actually do our relationship. Because obviously you're spending so much time with them during work hours. So,
and I think it helped as well because we didn't live together. We went home to our own homes after work, and then we would see each other at work. And then the only time we would catch up would be either if we were to go out or if we went to gym, because we gymmed a lot together.
Yeah.
Those were the times that we would see each other. So that's like a clear separation. And I think just going home itself is that separation.
Yeah.
It's like a reset.
Yep. And I think sometimes, depending on your relationship, it's all subjective and case by case, but sometimes it is good to have the separation, having your own time, whether you actually need it. And I think you as an individual can gauge whether or not you need that time alone. Yeah. And I think it's really important to voice that to your partner. If your partner is the opposite, who wants to be, I wouldn't say clingy, but wants to be with you all the time, and you're not like that, it's really important to say, hey, I need this time by myself.
Yeah. Like, for example, if this particular week you were really busy, or I was really busy, and it just got to the point that I was definitely getting to burnout or something, I didn't want to do anything, and say you were reaching out and be like, hey, let's hang out, let's go get a drink here, and I didn't feel like it. It's as simple as just saying, hey, I'm just really tired, I don't really feel like doing that today, can I just rest at home today, and then tomorrow we can get a drink? It's just voicing that out rather than not saying anything and then just being like, no, I don't want to go. It's the same thing as that constructive criticism. You don't just be like, that file's like shit, and then you don't say anything. It's just, saying how you feel and why, and they can understand you, and that's basically it.
It's not just voicing, right? It's also, like I said before, it's choosing the right words, being conscious on how you structure the wording too, because sometimes if you come off real like assertive or aggressive, your partner's going to take it the wrong way. Probably going to think that you're trying to fucking G her up or him up. Yeah. So it's really important to sort of be neutral when you sort of voicing it.
Yeah, as long as you voice how you feel, I'm sure the other person is understanding enough to know, be okay with it. Because a day or two is enough. Yeah.
I think that safe words is probably more relevant to the guys who, the listeners who are more fresh in their relationship, because you guys haven't developed that, understanding between each other and how you guys talk, how you guys deal with each other, perceive words and stuff like that. So I think safe words and being neutral is really important when you're fresh in the relationship.
Yeah. And aside from taking time out for yourself, it's just, doing all the self-care stuff. I think on top of that, you can also find hobbies that you both enjoy. So for us, we both really loved gymming. We just did, 6 to 7 days a week of gymming back in those days.
Yeah.
And you really enjoy cars. I enjoy cars, so we hung out with your car friends. Things like that is things that are outside of work that we can enjoy together that's not work.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to find things that you guys, like if currently at the moment you guys don't have similar hobbies, it's important to try and find something that you guys can mutually do together.
Or even, like, I wouldn't say you have to find something that you enjoy together. Maybe there's something that you really enjoy and you just love going there to support your partner in enjoying whatever that is. I think that's also a good thing.
Yeah.
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 On top of that, for you didn't really express your work stresses. You just kept everything separate. Like, you went home and say you had a really bad day, you were pretty quiet. And at first I was just like, okay, did I do something? Or, like, you know, why are you so quiet? Or why you seem more frustrated than usual? As opposed to me, I like to express my work stresses, or I would like to talk about some of these things. So did you find that kind of annoying, or did you find that difficult to work through it when I came to you and started talking about, you know, hey, today this happened and I wasn't happy with it? Like,
I think it's, for me specifically, it was more like, well, work is work, so I don't really talk about it. And I generally I switch my brain off when it comes to work unless someone actually talks to me about it. And I don't think I ever had the demeanor to be like, hey, don't ever fucking talk to me about work.
yeah.
It's never been like that. So, like, for Amelia, if she was to ask me, hey, or talk to me about work, I'm more than happy to talk to her, because I understand that, you know, that
as a person, I'm a person who likes to express.
Yeah, she's a person that likes to express, but I mean, like, that's the way that she needs to vent her emotions and stress.
Yeah.
And if that helps her, then shit, I'm willing to compromise to talk to her about that. But it wasn't an issue for me, so I mean, it wasn't really a compromise for me. It was just like an everyday thing, like chat, whatever it is.
And it was the same for me. So when I was like, hey, what's wrong? And you're like, oh, I had a really crap day at work and I don't want to talk about it. And I'd be like, oh, okay, I understand. And then I'll just let you be and let you do your own thing for a little bit. Then I'll come back, because if I was to force it and be like, hey, you need to tell me what's wrong, then you would get even more annoyed. So it's understanding each other's way of working through your work stress, or even just general life stresses, and then, you know, understanding and working with that rather than working with how you work.
Yeah, it's also, obviously, it's understanding your partner's boundaries as well and how they work too. But, you know, at the same time, what I didn't comprehend at the time was, you know, issues with work, you need to talk about that stuff. And and it's not just work, it's also like life. Like any issues that you have, it's really healthy to talk about it, because it's like you may not talk to your friends about that certain stuff because your friends might not be there, or they might not understand the things that you're going through. So, you know, talking to your partner who probably would understand more than your friends. I mean, obviously for us, that was what it was, but for others, it could be different. But it's really, really healthy to have someone to talk to about, you know,
and you don't want it to bottle up. Like, in your case, if you just kept quiet the whole time, and then it becomes all bottled up, and then you would get to the stage where you just blow up and explode, and then I'd be like, whoa, where did this come from? Like, why are you angry, and did I do something to trigger it? So it's healthy for yourself and also for the people around you to open up and just express some of that sometimes, especially if it's something that is a hard stress to carry on your own. And even if the other person can't help you, at least they've listened, so they can share that, you know, the stress or the issue that you're dealing with.
Yeah, and that's why like I said, it's really important. And, you know, for me, tying in obviously the Asian culture, you know, my dad was just like that. He worked in a factory job. He was pretty much an immigrant. So, I mean, you know, that's all he knew what to do was labor work. So he had all his stresses. He basically bottled up all that shit that he dealt with at work.
Yeah, and I think just that traditional Asian culture mindset, they're the man of the house. They need to take on everything.
Yeah, they need to do everything.
They can't crumble.
They can't be a bitch, pretty much.
Yeah, because if they crumble, that's their whole family that they have under them, and that kind of mindset.
So I think that's the biggest thing with my dad was he bottled up everything, and he never had a chat with my mum and sat down with her. Yeah, this is work. This is all fucked up. Blah blah blah. He never actually sat down and spoke to her about that. And even my mum's like, man, I wish he actually did that. And like the only way that he could relieve his stress and stuff was to drink and smoke, and
not the best.
That's not the best way, and actually, it actually caught up with him, and he got sick from it. So it's really important that everyone and anyone who has issues in life is talking about it and voicing it with your friends or your partner or your significant other.
And I think another stereotypical Asian culture in terms of working, I think that did carry through for me in terms of working with you as a partner, because our mindset every time throughout me growing up, my mindset or how I knew working is you're just there to work. You work, and whether or not you're working with your partner or not, you're there to do the job. So we don't think about anything else.
Yeah, work
it's just
is work.
It's just for you to smash that task out, and that's it. And then also being Asian, seeing the Asian parents, they have to work with their partners because they've got no one else. They don't have money to hire. They don't, they're doing 10 jobs by themselves. So, the wife or the husband would step in and help. So that's what I saw. So I thought it was completely fine.
Yeah. And I think that's a really big thing that I saw too. Like being able to, whether it's the husband or the wife in the Asian culture, it's being able to just come together and just get the job done. Yeah. Get shit done. Not fucking, we're not here to fuck with spiders, mate.
Team player.
Yeah, we're not here to fuck with spiders. We're here to fucking get the job done, make our money, feed the family, and, enjoy life as much as we can. Mm-hmm. So that was the biggest thing, like even for our parents, or my parents specifically, they drilled that in our heads too. So,
well, I don't think they specifically had to tell us as well. As kids, we absorb a lot.
And you see it, you can see,
Yeah. All right. Well, let's sum it up here. So, is it okay to work with your significant other? For both of us, we think it is okay to work with each other, provided that, you have a clear communication on, what you see, how you see things should work and expectations, and also have a mutual understanding that work is work. And, if one of the partners had a higher authority, just understand that that's purely for work purposes, and also be respectful of each other in terms of how you talk to each other during work and even outside of work. And obviously it really depends on the situation, but talking it out is the best way so that you understand. And also just find hobbies and things outside of work to keep the relationship healthy and strong, and take time for yourself if you need to. And I think that's...
Don't neglect your relationship. Obviously, if you guys are working together, it's really important to prioritize that after hours too, and do something different, go out on dates, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, the decision is up to you guys, but as long as you consider these options that we mentioned before, I think you guys should be
a strong, powerful couple.
100%.
All right, that's it for Is It Okay to Work with Your Significant Other?
Thank you so much. If you have reached to the end, we really appreciate you for tuning in. And if you'd like what you hear, please share it with your friends or family, and subscribe to our podcast on whatever platform you are listening to.
Make sure you share any topics you'd like us to cover or questions you might have to our Instagram.
Slide it into our DMs.
Bigger. You can also stay in the loop of all the behind the scenes and the release of our new episodes there too. Our Instagram is Ask the Duo Podcast. That's AskTheDuo Man, feels like I'm in a spelling bee competition right now. Alright, that's it for now, and we'll see you back here for our next episode. Bye!
See ya!